Hi there. In this lecture we see an instructive game. Bobby Fischer plays his favourite system against the Najdorf, against Rudolf Cardoso in the Fischer-Cardoso match round 2. So e4 from Fischer, Sicilian defence from Cardoso, knight f3, d6, d4, c takes, knight takes, knight f6, knight c3, a6, and now Fischer's favourite move, bishop c4. We see e6, white castles, bishop e7, bishop e3, black castles, bishop b3, knight c6, and now f4. This has a very logical idea of trying to liberate this bishop, break it through the diagonal. And black reacts in a seemingly very logical way, actually, knight a5, just try and remove that bishop. What could be the potential downside with this approach here? It seems another possibility which might be more accurate is to actually take on d4 and play b5, yeah, tolerating that bishop for a little bit longer. That's another possibility. But okay, so what happens after knight a5? We see queen f3, queen c7, and now Fischer plays a very aggressive move. Can you guess? If I give you 5 seconds to pause the video. g4. Yeah, it looks like a very aggressive position already. Black plays knight takes b3. The more accurate, it seems, the way to handle this is d5. So, for example, if e takes, knight takes, and then knight takes here, and this situation where this bishop's opened up, this should be about equal, actually. For example, like this, there's compensation for black. So that would be the way to play it, it seems. So anyway, in the game though, knight takes b3, snapping off that bishop. After a takes, rook b8. Is this too slow for white's king attack? Is the king attack too strong by this point? g5, knight d7, and now Fischer plays f5, conceding the e5 square, but there's a big idea of f6 as compensation for that. So the knight does perch itself on e5. We see queen g3 with a big threat of, for example, f6. It seems the position's already, by the way, kind of dangerous. Even with queen h5, this situation, as an example, shows that actually white could whip up strong attacking opportunities. If this is one of the better resources for black, then that's scary that black would have to play like this. And white's still got an advantage, technically. But yeah, there are possibilities. But queen g3 is neat, keeping the threats open. King h8. Knight f3 is played here. At this juncture, actually, the knight's kind of nicely centralized. It seems rook f4 with an idea of just going for that h7 pawn. It's one of the weak squares in black's position. And this knight being perched on e5 rather than f6 is not able to defend h7. And white could play like this, as an example. And it turns out this situation is rather dangerous. For example, like this. And if f6, it seems as though white's going to be crashing through, for example, like this, with knight f5 to break open d5 to get into f6. So carnage ensues. In this situation, by the way, you might have been checking out, what if, this doesn't take Kingscrusher? What if f6 is played? Yes, good question. And in fact, the strongest move here is queen h5, hitting the rook, and vacating h6 for the knight. This is actually a really crushing blow because, for example, rook f8, check, taking on f6, and we're ripping open the king, for example, checkmate there. Yeah, it seems this silent killer move, queen h5, is very interesting in its own right to study for the attacking player's manual. Queen h5. It's stronger than g takes because then taking, and black can actually just be equal here. White would have to take a perpetual check with best play. Yeah, it's interesting. It's not that clear cut, is it, when you look at the absolute best resources? So f6, queen h5. If e takes, taking on e8 is crushing, as you might expect. I'm going to be taking on f6 later. So yeah, very interesting stuff. Very good question. If you did pose the question, f6 to laterally defend there. But it seems queen h5 is the strong response. Okay. So yeah, there is a way of breaking black's position down with rook f4. It seems as though black's king safety has been shot down in a theoretical sense at this point in the game. Fischer's approach is strong as well, knight f3. We see knight takes, rook takes, b5, and he goes on to that plan anyway with the h-file attack. We see e takes, e takes. Here also, by the way, rook h3 was strong because h6 is insufficient. There's a very strong key move here, which I myself have played this sort of move in a very long game of chess, one-day game. Can you see what white could play here, which really amplifies the attack? If I give you 5 seconds here, it's not just a crude attack, it's actually kind of a winning attack after bishop d4. Yeah, pinning this g7 pawn. And if, for example, king g8, then knight d5 and bishop f6, and black's going to get slaughtered in this scenario. There's just no defense. Hitting the rook, so there's no time to take the queen, and this is just smashing through. So yeah, it seems as though black's position was rather precarious, but e takes was played. Queen c6, rook a f1, bishop b7, bishop d4. And again, you know, Fischer hits some of the right ideas that we've just mentioned, some of the more accurate ideas. We see b4 being played. And now bishop takes g7. It is a very, very strong position. In fact, also, as well as this, there's queen h5. So, for example, here, just g6. So queen h5 would just simply unpin, ready for g6. And this is just unpleasant for black, you know, smashing through. So that would be a crushing continuation just with queen h5, just unpinning for g6. Yeah, with this mighty bishop on d4, this is just really devastating. But Fischer's continuation is crushing as well, it seems. Or is it? After queen c5 check, there was, I think this is the point of no return, queen c5 check. There was actually at this point a remarkable idea of f takes, or rather resource. And this is just very, very remarkable, but black does have this battery bearing down on g2. There is a theoretical basis for this. Can you see what black could have, in theory, done here to salvage the situation? If I give you 5 seconds to pause the video. Okay, it seems rook f7 is equal after g takes. Yeah, if rook takes, queen g2 mate. And if takes rook f8. And it seems as though, if, for example, knight b1, then rook takes f7, black's actually better. And if queen e6, queen c5 check, and bishop takes f3, this situation, black can actually force a perpetual check at the least. So yeah, this was the last chance saloon, but queen c5 check was played, not f takes. And after this, yeah, there's no return after this. After f takes, point of no return here. We have a lost position, essentially. There's two attacks going on. One on the pressure on f8 and also threatening mate. Black plays queen g5, but this is just hopeless. White just takes, rook takes, rook takes. So the exchange up. And now Fischer plays the most accurate move, but rook f7 check also wins. But the most accurate move is, what would you play here with white? If I give you 5 seconds to pause the video. Okay, g takes h7, yeah, gonna be queening. This is just winning. Yeah, it's also leaving white with an extra pass pawn. But also, you know, rook f7 check, it's not that bad for white either. This is a technically winning position as well. Exchange up. So yeah, what do we actually learn from this game philosophically? It seems as though the Sicilian defense is a bit of a dodgy opening. It's shown up nowadays, more and more of the engines as well. People doing a lot more analysis in the Sicilian defense situations. It seems as though this situation, if we look at this game, with the time consuming knight c6 to a5 taking b3, white does get, it seems, a lot of extra moves. I mean, that's 1, 2, 3 moves to take out the bishop. It seems white's attack was on steroids without any central pressure from black. And this h7 pawn in particular was seemingly vulnerable. Here, at move 17, rook f4 was the most accurate shot. And it seems as though, in this critical variation, it seems h7's a goner. If it's played like this, it's just an absolute massacre. I mean, because white can actually make use of this knight come into f6 via knight f5. It's a killer move. But if you spot this kind of thing, you're a very good player if you do spot this kind of thing. This is one of the more accurate continuations. And yeah, it's pretty devastating. If here, this is just all over after knight f6 coming into f6. But yeah, it's a pretty devastating continuation. And okay, but Fischer's approach is very dangerous as well. Black set up a battery which did give a theoretical chance if black had found, instead of queen c5 check, this amazing idea of f takes and rook f7. It's amazing what can be uncovered basically with technology about how, what the theoretical state of affairs is. I think if we look at the theoretical state of affairs, we're going to get the most instructive points in a least controversial way from these games, rather than saying, okay, Fischer's move won, therefore it was the best. Now, if we actually look at objectively, I think we're going to get the absolute maximum, from these games instructively. So yeah, it's interesting. Black did deserve, it seems, a theoretical defense based on the battery. But anyway, yeah, the point of no return, crushing. It's just all over rather quickly there at about move 30. So the game ending here. G takes h7. So if taking queening, yeah, it's just hopeless. Okay, hope you got something from that. Thanks so much. Hi guys, I hope you really enjoyed this video. If you want more Bobby Fischer content, check out my Kingscrusher TV page. And if you go to the bottom of it, it starts at the bottom with 1970 to 1992. I also have 2 other Bobby Fischer courses. I found him absolutely fascinating to study. So there's 1956 to 62 early in his career, and there's 1963 to 68. So I hope you find those interesting. You might want to check them out, all the free samples. And I hope you really enjoyed this video. Comments, questions, likes, shares, always appreciated. Thanks very much.